Number 2. The story. The second biggest problem with the Phantom Menace is the whole story and the way it was told. It's almost mind-boggling how complex the awfulness is. From the very start of this movie, I could tell something was really wrong, just by the way it started. It opens with some boring pilot asking for permission to land on a ship that looks like a half-eaten donut with a donut hole in the middle. What the fuck is that? Then two cloaked figures walk into a room in a completely flat angle. They sit down in a conference room, drink tea, and wait to talk about a trade dispute with something that looks like my ex-wife. While they eventually do get to the ball-numbing, mindless action that the fanboys crave, I found myself utterly bored already. Compare this fecal matter to the opening of the original Star Wars. You see, a guy named William Shakespeare once said, "Brevity is the soul of wit." This just means don't waste my time. You keep it nice and simple. I said stop wasting my time. Stop it! Without saying one word of awkward, boring political dialogue that goes on for 10 minutes, we know everything we need to know just by the visuals. Rebels, Empire. We get a sense of how small and ill-equipped the rebels are and how large and powerful the Empire is. The low angle implies dominance, and the length of the Star Destroyer implies the long reach of the Empire. This shot says everything we need to know without saying one word. In fact, this is so genius, I have a feeling that George Lucas had nothing to do with it and probably fought against putting it in the movie. So this comparison of openings is a small example of the overall styles of both films. The original trilogy was a modern-day homage to the classic adventure serials of the past, the kind I used to watch when I was in my 40s. Good versus evil, the classic hero on a journey, the adventurous rogue, a damsel in distress, the wise old sage, gay robots, and an epic quest of discovery. The new movies are about shoving as much crap into each shot as possible.
It's so dense, every single image has so many things going on.
This is part of the reason why I find the special editions so fucking offensive. Because you're into what's happening in the movie, and they keep shoving more shit on the screen to distract you. It reminds me of a child waving his arms in the background for attention. Doesn't Lucas realize that cluttering the frame up with shit is not what makes Star Wars good?
It's so dense, every single image has so many things going on.
Fuck you, Rick Berman. You ruined this too? Stop ruining... Wait a minute. That ain't Rick Berman. What is it with Ricks? So the film is called The Phantom Menace, and by the nature of the story, there is no clear villain. Hey, idiot! You're not making the usual suspects here. You're making a movie for children, right?
Supreme Chancellor, delegates of the Senate. A tragedy has occurred.
Which started right here with the taxation of trade routes and has now engulfed our entire planet in the oppression of the...
How about a bad guy in the movie whose motivation is clear?
Commander, tear this ship apart until you found those plans and bring me the passengers. I want them alive!
The prequels should be very similar in style to the originals, because I don't like things that are different. Number 3. Death and space taxes. So when you find yourself thinking things like, huh? Or what? When you're watching how illogical characters act in a movie, it's not really a good sign. Now I've analyzed this film with a team of cheerleaders. They came up with one unanimous conclusion. That if I let them go, they promise they won't tell nobody. Anyways, so at the end of the movie, Yoda makes Obi-Wan a Jedi Knight.
Confer on you the level of Jedi Knight. The Council does.
Even though in the opening titles it says he's a Jedi Knight. So we'll just call them Jedi Knights too. People call me a murderer even though I ain't never been caught yet. So the Jedis are there to do what exactly? According to the opening title crawl, it was to settle a dispute over the taxation of trade routes. Oh. So what makes the Jedi Knights experts in intergalactic trade laws? So the Trade Federation have set up a blockade around Naboo in order to stop them from getting space supplies, which instantly causes some kind of crisis that we never see. Okay. I don't get it. Why would an organization called the Trade Federation want to blockade trade?
There's the blockade.
Usually a blockade is to stop something you don't want to get in. You see, we once set up a naval blockade around Cuba to stop the Russians from setting up missile launchers there. It was a little event you might have heard of. It wasn't a big deal, you know, but you might have heard of it. It was called World War I. Geez, you stupid people gotta learn your history right. So if the Trade Federation were like merchants moving goods and services around the galaxy, then why did they seem more like a military with armies of robots? However, if they were like a bureaucracy that was in charge of overseeing and regulating trade routes, you'd think they'd be happy about the whole new space taxes. Unless all the taxes went straight to like a space Obama and they didn't see any of it. The point is, I'm still not sure what the donut ships were there to do. And don't any of you f***its tell me that it was explained more in the novelization or some Star Wars book. What matters is the movie. I ain't never read one of them Star Wars books, or any books in general for that matter. I ain't about to start. Don't talk about them stupid video games or novels, comic books, or any of that fucking crap. I seen enough of that shit. I got Phantom Menace toys scattered all over in my basement. You see, my grandkids play with them down there when they come over to visit, and they leave that shit all over the place. Let me see if I can find some of them so I can show you. I'm gonna go down in my basement now, hold on. I gotta switch the cameras. Okay, here we are in my basement. See, my grandkids, they come over and they play and they leave their stupid Star Wars shit around. The Qui-Gon sucker. They didn't even eat the sucker. What's this shit? Anakin something? What else did they leave around my basement? What's this? What is this? Some kind of Darth Maul toy? These kids always leaving this crap around. There. What's this? They left shit in my bin? My plastic bin. What is this? Darth Maul? Stupid Darth Maul. Huh? What do we got here? They didn't even open this. Naboo accessory set.
Mister.
Why didn't they open it?
Mister.
Quiet.
You just let me go. I promise I won't say anything. I'll do anything. Just let me go.
Quiet. I'm making my YouTube Star Wars review.
Star Wars.
What is this?
Don't hurt me.
Nice window.
Mister, please just let me go.
I said quiet! I'm making my review! You shut the fucking mouth! Anyway, so I realized that Senator Palpatine was using the Trade Federation to create a crisis to advance himself politically. Like that was the plot, I think. But the conflict from the blockade and the subsequent invasion is the entire movie. Understanding what role the Trade Federation played in this is important. You know, what the blockade was about, who was getting taxed, what kind of supplies were so crucial to the Naboo. What was it, like medical supplies? Was there some kind of plague? Did they not have the capacity to survive on such a lush planet with a huge power reactor for 1 day without space trade? You see, I would have accepted the idea of some kind of mystery villain if the basics were at least clear. So when two guys wearing robes come on board their ship, Rosie the robot just assumes they are Jedi Knights and tells the Shatnerians.
The ambassadors are Jedi Knights, I believe.
Even though almost every single character wears robes in Star Wars. Then somehow this robot knows or thinks they're Jedi Knights. Hey idiots, so much for the disguise. Even a protocol droid could sniff you out. Maybe it's not a disguise, but whatever. So the Shatnerians immediately inform this mystery guy who they're running this scam with, a guy who looks like Satan, that Jedis are on the ship. And of course, so we can have an action scene, he tells them to kill the Jedi.
Kill them immediately.
You see, they never once went into the room to say hello to the Jedi, and that they'll be right with them. But they tell Palpatine that they are Jedis, and then they try to gas them to death based solely on the hunch of a droid. Who's fucking with my medicine? Who wants a pizza roll? Email me if you want a pizza roll. Post a comment on this web zone if you want a pizza roll. Who's fucking with my medicine?